As soon as
Yeah.
we get legal, yeah, I mean,
All the others.
live. We will,
Right.
Yep.
It's typical when you hear we're recording, you maybe then.
All righty. All right, good afternoon, everybody. It is Wednesday, 9 July 2025, and this is a continuation of the Waterville Valley Select Board regular meeting. I'd like to take a motion to come out of non-public and seal the minutes.
So moved.
A second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, oh, and I should also, well, we already did the call to order
Yeah.
and all three members are present for today's meeting. I don't see anybody here for privilege of the floor. So we'll move on to minutes review and approval. I think I got all of them, Steve. Did I?
Yeah.
So,
Did you get my little note?
I did, thank you.
Okay.
does anyone have any further comments in any of those? Are we all caught up? Almost?
Dan had made some comments on July 2nd special meeting, which is the first time we're trying to use the SharePoint.
Oh, you've already started the new process? Okay,
Yes, as
so,
of yesterday.
okay. So I stand relieved.
Yeah.
he's,
You do.
he's been on watch on the
It's the
bridge. with
yeah,
the ship,
yeah.
So
So.
that's the
Yeah.
only set that's outstanding.
You're supposed to say I relieve you, sir. but I stand relieved. So, but all the backlog, does that catch everything up?
We are all caught up except for July.
All right, and that's now an ongoing process. So does anyone have any further comments on any of the minutes from the 21st of May, the 18th of June, the 25th of June, and a special meeting we held on the 10th of June? If no one has any comments, can I have a motion to,
I move to approve the meeting
minutes?
minutes from the 4 dates that. we have
Aforementioned
there, the
dates?
Aforementioned dates.
Meeting dates? A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So now that we've disposed of that, shall we move to new business and start with the second quarter water and sewer warrant?
Yay, I found it.
We have something to sign.
You have something to sign and I have some historical data that Steve put together for you. Just to show you, basically, we're within a couple $1,000s of last year. Pretty much on budget. As far as water and sewer and trash goes. This sheet, it's kind of complicated. The first column is the water portion of the total billing. The second column is the sewer, third column is the trash. The next two columns show you the water usage and the sewer treated numbers.
Those are actual
Um,
numbers, right?
Actual numbers. You can see that we're down from last year's second quarter slightly. So looking at the water usage first, we were at last year 5,819,000. This year 5,684,000.
I'm sorry, where's that? So-
Right here.
Just Getting lost in all the numbers. Got it. All right, got it. Thank
Right
you.
here and right here,
Got it.
right
Yeah.
here and
All
right
right, see, 24 to
Yeah.
25. I get it.
24 to 25.
Right,
And then 5,733,000 in sewer treated,
right.
5,623,000 this year.
It's comparable.
So it's
right?
comparable. The numbers, the actual amounts of the bills last year for this quarter. Water was 104,472. Now it's 103,767. 103,767, and then sewer is 129 last year. I'm sorry, 124,762. Now it's 123,448. So few $1,000s. Yes, sir.
What happened in 23?
That,
Go-
The
That-
water usage numbers are.
Yeah.
I talked to Dylan today about that, and that is the number that came out on the warrant itself. We obviously know that that's not a true
Yeah, don't. Yeah.
number, so we're looking to see if we can correct that.
It's
Okay,
not,
yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
There were some issues with readings.
Yeah.
year. One thing
They were
on-
the meters, they were not the actual usage. The meters read incorrectly.
Yeah, we had some transponder issues.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
something I remember you asked me once if I used 4 million
Yes,
gallons of water or
exactly.
something. And I'm
Yes.
like, I don't
Yeah.
think so.
No,
The one oddity on the warrant that you don't typically see this quarter is a credit line. And that reflects the 10 property owners who, when we made the change to the unit system, called us and asked for an additional interior inspection. So the interior inspections that took place resulted in some
Changes to the original.
changes to
Right.
their
Yeah.
number of bathrooms and bedrooms,
Yeah.
so
So-
they got an adjustment.
Right,
So this is actually the first water and sewer since we put in the new system,
No, the
the
second,
second quarter.
second,
we started it with the first quarter of this year.
Right,
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so this is the second
this is the
bill.
this is the
Yeah.
second billing.
The credit is because when we sent out the
Okay.
bills
I'm
first
with you.
quarter, we had people who requested changes.
right.
So the action to take would be to approve the warrant as presented and to sign it. Any any other questions, Dan?
Wanna make a
Did you have
motion?
another?
No, just a little question, I guess. Does this include all the changes that we made, all the new changes? For the people who had requested the different
Yes, it does.
things? Okay,
Yeah, that's what
So
the
now
credit
we're-
line is.
now we're on
Yes.
track. Okay,
Right.
good.
So Wendy, would you like to?
Yeah, I'll move that we, thank you,
We accept as presented
the water sewer commitment for FY
Second quarter.
25, second quarter.
I'll
We need
second
the-
that.
We don't need the total.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye. And we will sign it.
thank you,
That
sir.
will memorialize it.
Okay,
Bills will be in the mail on Friday.
Sure, everyone's happy. with
Woo-hoo.
that.
There we go. All right. The real estate sign permit application.
So,
So am I reading you correctly and saying it's okay? I know there's some back and forth, or
well,
what's, is
you
there an
have your
issue?
code enforcement officer.
Hello,
here as
David.
well,
How are
but
you today?
When.
Come on
when you-
down.
When you look at the part of I gave you the part of
Yeah,
the zoning
yeah, let me get
ordinance
there.
for sign codes.
Yeah,
I think this is the first one that Dan's done, so if you don't mind, we'll step
go through the
it.
process. Sure.
So, this is an application, they're subject to, section K of our,
Zoning.
zoning ordinance. Supplemental requirements, Dan.
Yep.
And so they have to meet all of these. The biggest things, if you go to, it's the second page of, I'm sorry, the third page of the
This is.
general requirements for temporary signs.
signs.
It's
Mhm.
page 31 of the
Right.
ordinance.
Paris six.
Paragraph 6.
Paris 6 in that section.
Temporary signs may
Under K.
display,
Page 6.
I think I'm there.
temporary signs may be displayed once for a maximum of 14 days, and that can be extended by one additional period
Mhm.
for a total of 28 days.
Mhm.
His request would have to be subject to the 28 or the 14-day restriction, and then he'd have to request it. But it's gonna be within the 14
Right,
days.
because he
if
put
you
once
approve.
house is sold as,
Yeah.
but he's aware
Yeah.
that there's a 2-week
He
and
will
then
be
another
if-
one extension.
Yeah, he will be if,
Okay,
and then the temporary sign may not exceed 9 square feet. And the calculation is 7 square feet for what he asked, given the 24 by 42 inch.
okay.
Is this the one
Size.
that says
Size.
open house or the one that says under agreement?
Well, the
different
24
size.
by 42 is under agreement. And I think both of them, if you look at the total area of both of them, he put 24 by 42 for both.
No, I'm sorry, is this a single family home or a condo?
It is 13 Tea House Lane, single family home.
So under number 7 and the zoning.
Yeah,
Number of allowed signs on private property by type of property. Property type, single family and two family homes. Allowable temporary signs, none permitted.
okay. I looked under condominium. I did. So there you have it. Okay. I'm sorry, I did, I
Okay.
looked down, I looked at the two signs
Okay,
permitted.
are we sure it's not?
So
Are we
temporary-
Sure it's a single
It's
family?
13 Tea House Lane is a single family home.
Yeah.
It is.
So
Yeah.
We have to deny it.
Well. We cannot, wait a minute, they are not allowed to put up real estate signs on single family home,
Allowable temporary signs, none permitted.
single family home? Yeah, no, I saw that, but I'm wondering. Really? I thought we allowed that.
That's what it says on the table, right?
Yeah, no,
What
I'm
I'm
just,
reading.
yeah, no,
Okay,
that's, here's,
anything,
okay, this is Tea House Lane, right?
Looks like it.
Yeah. So it's one of these.
it's a single family home. Doesn't matter, they're all single family homes.
Well, no, there's one condominium there, but I don't know if that's Tea House Lane.
It's, no, it's
Where
not,
Rick Smith
that's
lives.
not-
That's not the building we're talking.
no,
It's
it
one of
is
these
one of the
three.
single family homes.
Okay,
Because that address is Boulder Path Road, not.
it is
Tea
Boulder
House.
Path, right, yeah. I don't know why I'm surprised, I,
Well, I made the mistake of looking down one, so,
right,
because I was pretty sure that they could do it, but they can't.
what normally, what do they do
Says none
for, what do
permitted.
they normally do for like an open house in a single family home?
They're in a
It's-
condominium, well, in a single
No.
family home, they're not permitted.
We've not
But
ever.
It would only be,
I think sometimes it's in the town right of way, right?
On the
Like
road.
General direction, but they don't necessarily have it at the house, right? I've seen them. you know,
That may be
walking
what I'm
around.
thinking, so this is actually to put it on the, it says number of lot signs on private property,
Mhm.
Right,
by type of property.
I guess if they put it within the right of way,
Maybe that's what I'm remembering. Gee, I'm
Well,
sorry.
they would not be able to put it on their there is no town right of way at Tea House Lane.
Correct.
It is a private
yeah.
way.
All of it,
That is
yeah,
why it's called a lane,
right.
Yeah.
right? So there's no public property there. They would have to be out on Boulder Path Road in order to be within a town right of way.
But that's where you would see a sign that says like open house, wouldn't you?
That is not what he was requesting.
Okay.
He was requesting for it to, well, he was requesting town Boulder Path Road. And then the real estate sign in the front yard at Tea House Lane. So you could allow the real estate sign because that would be
If he
in the
puts it on
public-
Boulder,
If he puts it on
in a-
Boulder Path
right.
on the corner. But you would not, he would not be allowed.
on the front yard,
To do the one in the
Right.
front yard. Right, by the ordinance.
Yeah.
May I ask,
It would be considered in the public. Would be the
The
public
first one would be in
That's
the
right.
public way,
way, but the
so
other
that
one
would be.
not.
all right.
a simple question, I've seen companies, doing like roofing work.
yeah, they're
Yeah,
not
And
supposed
they'll
to.
put a,
We take them, we pick them
Sign
up, we,
on
if
the
we see
property
them,
that'll say, Bob's Roofing.
no,
Right,
not allowed,
That's not allowed.
that's not allowed.
Okay.
By the sign ordinance, and if
Okay.
public safety sees them, we pick them up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cause people have done that even
Oh,
in
yeah.
my house.
yeah,
yeah,
they do it.
absolutely.
It's typical, right?
Okay, yeah,
Here we are, and they're working there, so.
great.
I remember the discussion we had, well, how about they have a truck there? What's the difference between a truck with their
Right,
name on it
exactly.
and a sign in the
Okay.
yard while they're working?
There's a
Okay.
difference.
We decided there is a difference.
I
So-
find the none permitted be puzzling, but okay.
Well, it's on
That's
private
what
property.
it's-
Maybe that's where I was getting a little
Yeah,
bollocksed up
because we've
on, I
never
think.
had like for sale signs in front of people's houses when they're on the market
Right,
Right.
we have not.
Right, but we allow the signs and
for open house.
and that's on public. And that's why we regulate it. Well, how do we, but wait a minute, no.
It's at the bottom of the table on page
Mhm.
32, residential or commercial
Okay.
under construction, right?
I'm not there yet.
Or
Development under construction, residential, right?
Okay,
or residential,
okay,
right? Is that what it would follow?
yeah, once.
Yes, temporary construction signs.
Right.
Okay.
Are allowed.
So what we have in front of us to move along, apparently one application meets
Correct.
our sign ordinance and one does not.
So the real estate sign would meet the ordinance. The
Open house.
open house, the front yard real
Let's look at
estate,
it that way, right?
yeah,
Is not allowed,
is not allowed.
not allowed.
The
And
open house is,
right,
okay,
The tea house sign.
slash boulder path, as long as it's at the assuming by that
At the
intersection
intersection.
of Tea House and where it intersects with Boulder.
But the timing is different, right? Because they're saying once house is sold, but isn't it for a shorter amount of time?
It'll be for 14
days with the possibility of one
Yes.
extension,
so it'll be through July 23rd,
right?
because you're giving your approval today. So it'd be through July 23rd. If you need the sign past July 23rd, please notify the board.
Right. Now, do we want it to come to the board or do we want to give
Whatever you.
Chief Noyes the ability to grant the extension?
We could give them the.
I'm fine with that.
grant
Dan?
I'm
extension,
okay
yeah.
with that.
David, are you good with that?
That's fine.
I mean, yeah. We might. But I'm just concerned about the timing when our next meeting is all that.
Right.
If it's de rigueur, I mean, unless there's an issue with the sign. All right, so we need a vote on this?
Yeah,
On a sign permit, all right.
well,
So we need to,
unless you
Two vote- well,
just
one-
want to let us handle them and I won't even bring them into you. It's up to you.
There's that too.
Huh?
Yeah, there's that too. What signs? What permits?
Yeah.
Well, for the one in front of us, let's handle
yes,
it. We can
yes.
look at it, we can address that. I think we're going over all of our ordinances anyway, right? So if Chief Noyes wants to come in or you want to come in with, hey, we think we can do this better, if you just give the code enforcement delegate your authority to do that. So we'll handle that there.
Right.
Okay,
Does that work?
Yeah.
So I will make a motion. Move along here. Let me just get it. To approve the sign permit application of Mr. Tremblay for the sign that will be located at the intersection of Tea House Lane and Boulder Path Road. And approve that, and I think I'm doing it both, and reject the sign permit application for a sign on the front yard of 13 Treehouse Lane.
Okay.
And
Tea House.
Tea House, excuse me,
Yeah.
Tea House Lane, and that although the approved sign says until one's house is sold, it's actually a 14-day approval until, say, the 23rd of
23rd.
July, with the possibility of one extension to be determined by our code enforcement officer. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, do we need
You want
to,
them to sign, Chris to sign now?
No,
Oh, yeah.
you can. Yeah.
do we need to amend it just to, I mean, I think it might be helpful, there's application numbers written
Yeah,
on
well,
these.
no,
But-
yeah,
With the understanding that the one on Tea House Lane, Boulder Path Road reads open house, even though we're not, like, how
yeah,
do
you
we?
just make sure that that's the
Right,
open
but we
house.
can't,
I know we
we
can't. it's
can't
just awkward.
regulate what's on, that's why I
Yeah.
didn't say even what type
Yeah.
of sign it.
Well, he may decide to put the real estate sign out there and you really can't, as long as it's not on the private property,
Okay,
you can't say which one,
even though it says under.
even
agreement.
though it, yeah,
Okay,
because language.
We can't,
No, I know, we
say
can't.
anything
we
about
can't touch
yeah.
language, no
Okay.
matter what it says.
I would want
It can,
temporary.
it can say bad things and you can't.
Very bad things, unless it's.
Well, in
saying
the public
things-
way, you can,
Well, and because
prohibit
that's
that.
town property, right, but on
Correct.
private property.
Right.
People can say what they want as long as it's
which I think is why
called a
we
violence or something.
said no temporary sign
Yes.
on private
I think
property.
you're right.
Anyway,
All right. Off-site solicitation permit application. So this is a bit more complicated than it appears.
Yep.
So this is your first time with this one too, Dan?
yep,
Yeah.
All right, well, we've got a very complicated one here, unfortunately. Usually they're not that complicated, and I think, David, you just handle them, right? I mean, it's pretty, It's-
But yeah, usually.
You
they usually
brief us
come
on
to
it.
You guys.
Yeah, you
to
brief
see
us on
but
it.
Usually,
we recommend,
yeah,
they're pretty standard. People understand after talking to you what they have to say and what's allowed. So there are several issues here. I think the first issue with regard to this application is exactly what zone is it located in with regard to our development zones.
as I wrote in here,
Yes.
it is in the special, it is in the Snows Mountain Special Zoning District. That is an overlay above recreation, right? So the original land zoning district is rec.
You're gonna need a map for this, Dan, I
On
think.
the, well,
I mean,
yeah,
It's right
it-
here. I mean, you can look at it up here
yeah,
if you want.
it is the piece of the flat ground at the base of Snows Mountain that belongs to BBTS.
It's outlined in orange
Oh.
here,
Yeah.
Okay.
right?
Oh, this is for their,
Food truck.
that
Food
big
truck.
truck down there.
Right,
Yeah.
so that's this here.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is an
I-
overlay
Yep,
of the rec district.
Yep.
And the issue then becomes, if it's in this district,
No,
it's,
well,
it's not an allowed district for even for an off-site solicitation permit
correct.
to be
Well,
applied,
no,
all right?
The truck is
Ordinance
actually
now.
there right now.
it
Yeah.
is, and I'll get to that in just a second. So you have the Snows Mountain Special Zoning District over the rec.
So we
lane.
agree it's on that,
It's on that.
all right,
According to the
Alright.
application at the top of the second page of the application,
Alright.
location information.
yeah,
It says this permit is allowed in the following zone.
right,
VC rec,
Right.
C1 HDR and special.
That's what I was referring to.
Okay. However, if you read ordinance number 9, it is zone agnostic.
It's silent.
It is,
Is it silent?
well, it does not put this restriction on it. Okay? This restriction of this
No,
permit is
you are correct.
allowed
I'm
only-
not challenging that. I'm just,
So a off-site solicitation permit by the ordinance would be allowed anywhere in town if it were approved. I don't remember why these zones were picked out specifically for an off-site solicitation permit.
Well, because Snows disallows almost anything that isn't.
But ordinance 9,
well, we need to look at ordinance 9, right?
it's right there in your packet.
Was it? Oh,
Yeah,
okay, I missed it.
Attached it to the packet.
Looking for it in my filing system, which doesn't work.
Wouldn't they need a food service license there?
Well,
Well, that
that
gets
comes
into
with
the,
the truck.
yeah, so that would be part of the decision process to grant approval, or that they meet conditions like a license and all
There's
that.
a typo on the form, by the way.
Yeah. Something to be clean. So we're looking at Selectmen Ordinance 9,
Mhm.
right?
And then they-
Which really doesn't even address food trucks. I mean, you can read this and not realize that food trucks are included.
It's
Yeah.
for any off-premise solicitation, which means any sale, it says right here.
Right. As right,
It
premises.
including the operation of a booth or a sale location
next
conducted
clause.
on
right.
premises owned, leased,
Leased.
or otherwise controlled by the person making the solicitation. And they have, so now
Right.
you take that over to the application, they have checked off that they have a copy of a letter of authorization from the property owner.
Yeah.
So the property owner is
That's all,
participating in
that's
this.
all.
And there is
standard, right.
nothing in the ordinance that says it's only limited to
Well,
those zones.
It
It-
is
it-
in the ordinance.
Well,
Why?
the way I see it, it's implied, the very first sentence. Off-site, off-premises solicitation as defined in this order is not permitted. So that's a starting point. It's, I mean, you can read that is not permitted within the town of Waterville Valley. And then we permit it in certain situations.
Right, but this ordinance does not limit your ability to approve the use in to just the VC Rec C1 HDR and SC. It's not in the ordinance that's the only place you can apply to. That was what I struggled with was.
No, I understand. I
Did,
understand.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't remember, does anybody remember why we have these things on the application? I don't remember, we must have had a reason for putting that restriction on it, but I don't recall them.
Yeah, well, I
the
mean, it was so
table-
long ago.
Under uses shows.
You
under
can't have,
Rec and snows,
you can.
it's,
Well,
it
in
says
rec-
not permitted.
The
under
food
rec.
service and rec is allowed, but it's not in rec.
No, it's not allowed in the special.
We're in the,
Zoning
if we
district.
get past the first
Well, which-
question.
which
I'm thinking the
page
location.
are you looking at? I was looking at page 19 there, where it says uses.
The chart,
Chart.
yes,
Yeah, the little chart.
yes.
Yeah.
And there's nothing permitted under rec or snows.
No, rec food service is permitted.
No, right here. See, there are no Ps in here.
Yeah, but you're looking under residential. You gotta go
Oh.
down to, you gotta go down to,
Gotcha, my
go down to commercial.
okay, my fault,
Oop, you see it as you go. further
Yeah,
down.
no,
You
I
see it
got
Under
you.
rec. It's an
Under-
accessory use.
accessory use,
I would
okay.
hazard a guess that we specified in the,
Yes, it is.
I would hazard a guess that we specified in the form, the application, the location information to make sure LDR was excluded.
That was
Which it
clearly
is
the
in the
intent.
But also in being thorough, Snows Mountain was excluded because, I mean, and it just didn't translate to the select board ordinance.
Right, but the select board ordinance was adopted back in
1995.
1995. There wasn't a use list or
Right.
any of that at the
Right.
time.
And it
The
hasn't
ordinance
been
was
updated.
created
Yeah,
because, like Rich says, you can't do
Period.
period.
That's the
That's
start point.
the start point.
And then we
And then you
open it
allow.
up, right, in certain conditions, right?
I would not even have brought this to you if
Okay,
ordinance 9 had said these same lists, then I would have said, no, it's not allowed. My struggle, and I just need
Another
a
fix.
vote from you. You can say, no, we're gonna stick with these. This is where we're gonna allow them. That's our. And
What's
those are the
advantage of
areas,
Not allowed.
Dave, are those the areas where restaurants, food services are allowed?
That's where food service,
right.
Those zones.
so that's why
Yeah,
those
that's
zones
why.
were
Okay, and that's
selected.
fine.
That's
And,
fine.
and say,
That's the
no, this
answer.
is not allowed
It's
in
not,
this zone.
it's not
so you
allowed in that
can't-
zone.
Yeah,
It's because the risk is, I think if we don't say that, if we allow it, then we would also be put in a position to have to allow it in LDR.
correct.
Right,
And that's, I
Correct,
suspect that we were trying harder to avoid.
yeah, without a doubt.
Okay.
Well, based on those two facts, I think our hands are tied. I'm looking even see if we do have the ability, is that if the selectmen find that the solicitations would not substantially affect the interest sought to be protected by this ordinance and is otherwise in the public interest, considering such factors as location, time of proposed solicitations, volume of pedestrian vehicle traffic, facility to be used, solicitate, and other appropriate matters, they may grant the permit with such conditions they deem necessary to protect the public interest.
Yeah.
That could be read as our ability to grant an exception.
Well, the underlying zone is rec as well. So you
Right.
have the special zoning district overlay over
Right.
what is rec land.
Right.
Was originally rec land.
yeah, even the description, first line of the description of the Snows Mountain zone says this is a special zone within the rec
Right,
zone.
Zone.
Right,
right, which
Yeah.
is awkward wording.
It is.
it
Yeah.
shouldn't, yeah, it really can't be that,
It
right?
can't be,
It-
it's gotta be
It's
one of
either it's one or the other.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, the
I-
overlay, as I understand it from my planning board days, is the overlay is,
expands the uses.
well, it supersedes
Yeah.
the, whatever it's
Oh,
overlaying,
yes.
right?
yeah,
So the governing is what's allowed in the overlay. That's why you have the overlay.
And the way that I would look at this is this would be an accessory use to their business
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
running the lift,
which is
be
recreation.
it as a.
Right. if it wasn't in this zone,
Mhm.
it would easily be an allowed
Yeah,
use. It would still need either to get if they wanted to have it more permanent, which is kind of what they're asking, I think they'd have to go in front of the planning board for a site plan review.
Mhm.
But they're trying to treat this as a temporary, which would bring it into the food, and a food truck will bring it into a,
Right,
because the town has to have the ability to regulate this one way or the other for health, sanitary, safety reasons, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, they were kind of picking from both.
well, and it is a limited use time in that they're ending it on August 15th.
Right, but we also say 3 days.
Well, and
Right.
you have
Then
to,
move
that's the
That's-
next,
5 and then,
exactly.
so the
exactly.
first
Yeah.
question is, are you gonna?
well, that government, yeah,
So that's number one, and then number two is gonna be the timing.
Yeah,
if we allow it.
if you allow.
All right, so let's deal with that question. Given everything you've heard, guys. Care to talk about it?
I have a question. Is there an intent for them to also play music from the truck? Cause they blast music from that up at the mountain.
Yeah.
And you can hear it, you know, all across the top of the mountain.
That's an operational question. I don't know. Most of the times that I've seen it, they play music out of it, but that would fall under the.
So the other aspects of this, Dan, is that they came to us late, as Mark pointed out in his memo to
Yeah, I
us.
saw that.
You're supposed to get it in 14 days prior to.
Yep.
And that's because, as I understand it, they didn't understand or didn't realize or didn't believe they needed to get a
Mhm.
permit for this. Because they were looking at it as an accessory use,
To Snows Mountain.
Snows Mountain. But again, if you go that route, then you're talking site plan review to put something there to serve food,
Right.
whether it's a truck or not. So you can't pick from both column here, column there to make it work. This was dropped
Monday.
Monday of last
Last
week. And this is our first meeting
Right.
since. And this requires a select board vote. So Mark approached me, I think it was Thursday evening,
Mhm.
to say that this had arrived and we needed to talk about it. So I met with him Friday after the July 4th parade. And we discussed this partially, and I agreed with Mark's position that let's allow this there. It's already there for the weekend until the board can resolve the issue, because I wasn't sure how the board was gonna come at it. The other alternative would have been for me to call a special meeting on July 4th.
Well, no, it was the third.
The third,
It
excuse
was
me.
the evening of the afternoon.
Yeah, but we didn't, it was the 4th before wasn't it the?
Yeah, that's
Well,
fine.
no, or the
But
third,
either
forget
way.
it, either way.
Yeah.
So, but what I'm getting at, sorry, it's long-winded, is that I think we put conditions on it, including no music. But it's still left open questions like sanitation, food disposal, refuse disposal, whatever, and questions having to do with other forms of noise or other nuisance thing, because it abuts LDR. So you're talking perhaps smoke from cooking and whatever they were planning, or increased traffic, parking, all the things that would go into allowing this either via minor site plan review, I think, or the permit.
Mhm.
So we did restrict it to the long weekend, the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, with the stipulation of no noise.
Mhm.
And of course, if there are any complaints, then we would have told them to close up shop. So here we are.
From what I'm
So we can't put that condition on them
Right.
anyway.
But from what I'm remembering, the last time that there were food trucks in Waterville Valley, kind of unexpectedly, we had told the property owner that it would need to be a minor site plan review.
Yes. Because he wanted it for
They wanted it for
Extended.
months.
extended
Right.
period.
An
Exactly,
extended.
Right.
like kind of similar to.
Well, this is what if it
Right.
was in rec, which I think that one
Yes,
was.
that was a wreck.
And in that particular case, of course, the owner of the property decided yes, it became an issue.
Yeah.
But yes, we did decide minor site plan if he wanted it for that length of time,
Right.
because you only get 3 days. And then you have to leave for 5 days and then come back again if you have either get a new permit or you get the annual permit where you're able to do this, right?
Well, no, the regular permit is for 3 days.
Right.
The annual is, you can do it multiple times.
Right.
But that doesn't alleviate the having to leave after the 3 days, right? For the 5 day.
Right, no, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
The annual one doesn't,
You just don't have to apply for a permit again.
Right.
You have a permit for
Right.
whatever the annual is,
Yes.
but you still have to abide by the 3 days, 5 days,
Mhm.
3 days, 5 days.
Yep.
If they drove that truck over to the BBTS parking lot,
No,
well, just a minute.
okay,
which
we've been
is-
there, but go ahead.
Which is BBTS land,
Yes.
right?
It's still,
They have quote unquote moved it.
Yes, that's not the intent.
I understand that. The question is does that
It just says that
meet
Um,
the obligation
no-
to move it?
no more than 3 consecutive days without moving and must not return to the same location less than 5 days between temporary permits.
I think moving it to that parking lot
Yeah.
would not, it's,
No, I just mean
Yeah.
what they'll do is they'll move it from where it's sitting over to the parking
Yeah.
lot, and then they'll move it back, then they'll move it back.
no, well,
The-
go ahead.
The
David.
annual
Yeah,
fee was the long-term food trucks.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
were coming every single weekend
right,
and staying in the same location.
Right.
Same parking lot
Yep.
throughout the entire.
it was just
season.
easy for everybody.
Throughout the entire
Right.
season, so we did an annual permit where they didn't have to move, but most of them did.
right,
But it was basically for the season, so they didn't have to re-up every 3 days and 5 days. So they can do just one weekend, or they can do a permanent, more of a seasonal type application.
Hmm.
Because we do have the annual fee, but
Right.
it doesn't typically require them to move once you have,
oh wait, the annual does not require them to move?
doesn't.
Okay,
I thought
Okay.
we
I
required
thought
it.
we did, because.
Oh,
then-
no, the
No.
star is actually one time.
The stars. for the
3-day
one
temporary.
time.
okay.
Yeah.
So
So,
when you consider the annual one, it's a much bigger consideration because this is more of a seasonal type.
Like what they're requesting.
Yeah.
so what they're really requesting is to provide some food and drink services to people going up and down the
Yeah,
Mhm.
lift.
or in that
such.
section of the, that, you know,
That section
hikers who
right
may
there.
be
Yeah, there's hikers and
hikers,
bikers.
bikers and all that,
So-
yeah.
If we had a stipulation with no music, I personally do not have an issue with granting.
Okay,
It's a fairly low use area where there are people going through there on the weekends predominantly.
Mhm.
You know, during the week, there aren't very many people over there. I'm not even sure they run the lift during the week, do they?
Oh, yes, now they do.
Yes, now they.
They're
Okay.
after,
Yeah.
during the summer, it's every day,
So
and those
But-
hours are part of it as well.
Are they selling alcohol?
that's, no, I don't believe so.
Okay,
No.
That would be a
They don't-
state.
It's
Well-
not marked. on
But they
there.
didn't mark it on
They
there.
didn't mark it on there.
Not that they may have.
And
So-
Right, good question, I
I
understand.
don't believe they do.
okay,
I don't see this in my mind as a problem. So I don't personally have an issue with granting it. It's a temporary use for what, 6 weeks? Or-
Till mid-August, I think
Yeah,
they
It's
said.
about 6 weeks,
Yeah.
I'd say, just
Yep, you're right.
rounding.
No, it says 11/1,
yeah, it says 11/1.
November.
11/1?
Oh,
Yeah.
wait a minute, I thought it
November.
said,
That's what it
I
says.
thought it
Oh,
said August 2,
Okay,
11/1.
11 to 7.
okay, so they're trying to carry this through the end of
no, see, this is a site plan review thing,
the fall,
if it's even allowed.
yeah.
And a minor site plan, as we've discussed, is not that onerous. It's just a matter of,
Right,
you know, you don't need engineered plans, you just need to go to the planning board.
right,
and
so we can deal with
explain.
things like parking, traffic. And that gets you into the health and sanitary
Yeah.
issues, but. The planning board would not have the power to even entertain a minor site plan. For this, because it's in a
Because it
zone
requires-
that does not allow food service,
Yeah,
so they have to. Could they even go to the ZBA and ask for,
The planning board would have to make an administrative decision that.
To
is
turn it down.
not- To turn it down,
And
and then
then-
they can appeal that to the CBA.
for a.
relief from the administrative decision. They
Right.
could argue that, no, it's a rec zone and the special use is to allow the BBTS to be there, blah, 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 whatever they wanted to argue.
Would that require them to go back to the planning board for approval
I
for,
don't know, I don't know how the ZBA.
for,
would
you know,
handle it.
to cover all those things we
Yeah.
want to cover with regard to
Yeah.
parking and,
Yeah, because if the planning board's gonna take that approach, they wouldn't even talk about it. They would just say, no, it's not allowed in the
yeah,
special zoning
period.
district, we're not gonna.
we can't, we don't
Yeah.
have the power to.
Yeah.
We don't have the power to. You're right, 7-3 to 11-1. Seems kind of long because don't they close the? I wonder if they really meant 11-1.
No, they're open until.
The
past-
ski,
Oh, they're past Columbus Day.
They run it, yeah.
Yeah,
And
they
then,
run,
Foliage.
yeah,
they run.
For the
Yeah.
foliage.
Yeah,
It's just not every day,
forward.
right?
Not every day.
They stop
Run
every
During
day,
the weekends.
Right.
yeah.
In the fall.
right? And then they do every day around foliage, right? For a few days.
Brooke,
do
don't
that?
they go
Columbus
every
Day
day
weekend?
until
Yeah,
like
maybe.
Labor Day or something?
Right.
And
And then
then back off
weekends.
to
Mhm.
weekends.
Yeah. It's kind of like the boats.
Yeah.
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 I mean, 11-1.
So you still feel the same way that we're talking to the 1st of November?
I do not have the background yet on these off-premise solicitation permits to understand why we need the site plan review and so forth yet, right? So I haven't had a chance to study that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what what triggers that versus not having one.
Yeah, it's
Right.
it's well defined. You just
Yeah.
don't, yeah.
Yeah.
You just haven't had a
that's
chance to
personally, yeah.
to review it. And that's what,
So I have to defer, if you will,
okay.
to you on that. And
And we have required that. I mean, we have required owners to go through that process
right,
to add food service in a zone that they're allowed to have food service.
yes. So I am all for fairness and consistency, so we can't ask one person to do one thing and a different person to do something else,
Exactly.
because I think that's, just unfair. So if the proper course of action is to require a minor site plan review, then I think
Right.
that's what we,
But they will get
Do.
turned down. They will get rejected.
well, I understand that based on your comments.
Okay.
In principle, with respect to the actual activity, I don't have a problem with it. I understand what they're doing. They have this truck, it sits idle. Through the summer, they're taking it there, they're putting it to good use, they're providing a service, it's beneficial to the town. In the sense that the
There used to be a
hikers and
restaurant there.
bikers, it gives them a quick way of grabbing drinks and something. As they go, up and down the hill. So. Under that premise,
Right.
I'm comfortable.
Can we tell them that we accept it through what we originally thought was the date through August 15 and revisit it? And if they want to go beyond that, to do a minor site plan review?
But they will be rejected at that point. Because the planning board
Yeah,
cannot.
I actually wish
Entertain
there was
that.
somebody here so we could talk to them about this, but. And engage them in the discussion.
It would have been helpful if this had been brought to the board's attention some time ago so that we can perhaps
Exactly.
find a way to make this work without setting a precedent or being unfair
Right,
to others who've gone to minor site plan review in order to do something, like to build something for a more permanent food service concession.
So this is clearly isn't permanent, it's,
Well-
it's a vehicle.
right, but in my mind, I
Okay.
see it coming back, if it's successful, if this is a successful summer, then I would see it happening again from June to November or May to November.
Next,
And building out, because why not? I mean, like you said, it's doing all kinds of great things.
Yeah, as long as
But-
it's not a nuisance to the local neighbors, if there's no
Exactly.
music and there isn't a lot of smoke or smell or something like that.
Exactly. But that to me just kind of reinforces the minor site plan idea. But I understand the tripping point with the zone.
Are we absolutely certain it's in that zone?
Yes. Because it says that it goes.
Let's
to the
look at that.
base. No, it goes to the base of the hill.
Yeah.
And the
Flat
truck
area.
is on the flat area before the base of the hill.
yeah, it's on the flat area next to the building before it goes up.
And the description of the zone in the zoning ordinance says that the zone extends to the base of the mountain.
Yeah.
And that drawing right there
Reflects it.
reflects that and reflects the fact the truck sits right here.
Yeah, it
Truck
just
sits
passed,
right there.
just past the building. It's just inside, right? And they move it up into rec.
No, because of the way the hill is.
It's
and-
too much.
and the,
It's,
uh,
yeah. Yeah, the topography there, it
No,
starts
and
to
the
go up pretty
cushion, the cushion for the ski jump is on.
to the
other-
right, right,
To the right,
yeah.
Then you start to get elevation. and
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
To be able to service it. Acknowledgements on your application form, the selectmen may determine that this application may require a minor site plan review by the planning board for an additional use and or change of use. Property.
additional would be the accessory use, I think.
Yeah.
Here, that's what we leaned on before.
Yep.
Just wanna look something up.
given that that process will take a period of time.
Well, I mean, it technically could go tomorrow morning.
Well, the planning board doesn't, no.
It's-
Well, they can get the rejection fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, for minor site plan review, is there a 21-day? I'd have to look.
Don't have my. here.
Yeah, I'm looking up now. Well, that would be site plan regulation, right?
Yeah.
So in the absence of music. It's almost undetectable that they're there. If you will, it's not,
And clarify that there's no alcohol.
and no alcohol.
A special zoning area is hereby created on the portion of the parcel of a recreation zone land at Snows Mountain consisting of the flat lot at the base of Snows Mountain bordered by Cascade Ridge subdivision, Boulder Path Road, tennis courts, and Snows Mountain Ski Hill.
Mhm.
The ski hill itself is not part of the zone. It doesn't seem to be any. There doesn't seem to be any wiggle room there either.
No, they're in the special.
I feel like we're stuck.
I don't see how we can.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we're stuck.
We're stuck with. What, rejecting this?
Mhm.
Food service is not allowed in that zone. I mean, I'm struggling with trying to find a way to make it happen.
And
So
your interpretation is that we as the board do not have the authority to.
supersede the zoning.
Yeah.
We kind of got yelled at about that a couple meetings ago.
We've been down that path. It didn't work out well.
Because that's a zoning issue.
Right, that's been
So
voted
then
on
we
by the
need
town.
to, okay, I'm thinking it
No,
through.
Yeah, go ahead.
So then we need to refer them back to what, planning board? For the
Who would,
Yeah.
site plan review,
Yeah.
who would then send them to the ZBA?
We send them to the
presumably.
ZBA, but they need that rejection to,
but they need that rejection.
for the
to get-
ZBA
to
to
the ZBA.
consider whether it wants to hear their case.
Yep.
That's how that works too, right?
Yep.
And that may be the quickest way. I mean, I don't know. The ZBA only meets when they need to meet, right? They don't have a scheduled
Mhm.
meeting time.
Correct.
Yeah, no, I can't see how we do it. I mean, I'm trying to think if they go to the planning board tomorrow, if they don't need a 21 day for
I'll look that up.
a minor site plan review, well, that could be inserted into the agenda. It should be a quick decision.
If you, yes, so take an
You seem
action and I
hesitant.
will, no, I'm just.
Right.
Just take the action and we'll figure out what it means. Because your action is not based on the future.
No, I know
steps.
that.
It's based on the information that you have
I
before.
think like Dan, I think we're
I
trying to
know.
be helpful.
You could do it through August 30th. Letting them get to a plan in case, or you could do it through August 15th.
Right,
Which would get them to the next planning board meeting if they can't do it tomorrow. So that
I would be
you have the
comfortable with that,
discretion, you have discretion to some
provided we
extent.
keep the stipulation of no music. And whatever other stipulations you have that allowed them before.
because it felt like as a board, we were on the brink of approving it anyway, if it was through just mid-August. That was our initial discussion.
I think we were going in that direction, yes. I mean, I was
So-
still
And we will tell
teetering.
them that they still have to go to the planning board.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
It just allows them
Yeah,
time to
time,
work the
yes.
situation.
but it perhaps also serves as a reminder that if they come to us a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
we'd-
Well, they could have then gone to the planning board
Yep.
and they could have got everything lined
Right.
up with the ZBA.
Yeah,
I don't know
Right.
what the requirements are for administrative
well,
relief.
we'll see what the planning board decides. I
first,
mean,
yeah.
you're making assumptions about how they're gonna interpret it, so.
you're right.
But yes, the blank
No, I'm
wording.
worst
of
casing it. Yeah,
Yep.
no, I am.
Yep.
So we would like them to go in front of planning board tomorrow, but in any case, no later than its
The August-
14
August
meeting.
Mhm.
And we are basing this decision on what,
Well, you have the
Our-
discretion, in ordinance 9 that if it does not. It does not violate, what's the
Violate, yeah.
wording?
well, the public interest.
The
it
public
supports the
interest
it's
and
in-
all
It's in the
To
public
substantially
interest,
Affect
Yeah.
the interest.
the public interest and
Yeah.
whatever.
And we need to
What a mess.
note that this is if you will, temporary until this
Yes.
date
Mhm.
Yes, it will not extend beyond August 15 for the select board
without,
Yeah.
permissions. And
Yeah.
if they want to extend beyond that, they have to go to the planning board.
Mhm.
Right.
I mean, it's really, because they could just say, well, to heck with it,
Oh,
we don't want to go to the
okay.
planning board and we're,
Yeah, we're doing what I didn't want to do was pick from column A and
I
pick
know.
from column B because
Yeah.
we're treating it as an offsite. An
Mhm.
offsite solicitation
yeah,
permit, but it doesn't meet the requirements
I know.
because we're again violating zoning. By granting,
Well, I suppose the planning, if they were to put in for the plan, for the site plan, perhaps the planning board could meet earlier. I don't know. Can't ask that either.
the planning
Yeah.
board
If
tomorrow.
the selectmen find that the solicitation, I mean, that paragraph is what you're not, you are maybe authorizing it outside of the permissions under the ordinance, but you have this paragraph that you
Yeah.
are using discretion to allow it for a limited period of time.
Right,
You're not giving them the entire till November timeframe using that paragraph.
Right.
If the struggle is that they didn't apply on time and so have put you in
No,
this
no,
position,
the struggle in my mind is that even if they applied on time, we could not.
but then they would have had 14 days to
Approve
get
it.
to the
Right.
planning board and et cetera.
Right.
And it is something that I do believe is in the public interest. It's positive, right? It's a positive thing.
It is in some
Because-
people's minds, but in others, maybe not.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the houses around it,
Mm.
other eateries in the town who pay taxes. I mean, I know this is from an entity which is a property owner, but that's been an issue with food trucks, right?
Right, yes.
Is
Mhm.
that from merchants who are in town and who pay property taxes, that food trucks come in and can undercut their restaurant business.
Mhm.
Right. You good with?
Yep.
Good with this?
As good as it can be, I think. But yeah, I mean, it will not substantially affect the interest sought to be protected by this ordinance. Paragraph is there.
No, it is there. But that means we could approve it for, someone can come to us and ask for a
But
food
you're,
truck in LDR.
And we
well,
can
but
say
you're,
no because
and
of
you
that.
can say no, because there may be something that it will substantially affect
It
the
could.
interest of.
Right,
Depends where in LDR.
because there is
Town-
already,
Yes.
noise there is already traffic coming and
Yeah,
going.
no,
from
we would
there.
have to, I think we have to be
So-
very specific about
There's
that.
a commercial entity already right beside where they're.
All right,
putting
so
it.
we'll lean on that.
Yeah.
And the conditions we're gonna place on it for the code enforcement officer. So
And
no music,
Alcohol.
And yeah. I
No
don't believe they
alcohol?
sell alcohol.
Well,
no, they
but
have.
They
an-
do have a beer trailer that goes along with it, so.
So,
we'll make
okay,
sure
and
that
no
doesn't-
alcohol for sure.
Um,
I'm not saying I saw it there.
It's
but-
not
Uh,
up for-
license- It'd be a whole licensing.
they're not licensed for it? Okay,
We got to sign off on the license.
Yeah, it says barbecue
No music,
sandwiches,
no
hot dogs
no
and
alcohol.
chips.
Yep.
Probably drink.
And August 15th.
And are we good with the operating hours, 11 to 7?
that's the other thing we need to look at. What, if it's to capture the traffic on the ski lift? What are their operating hours? Does anybody have that? I mean, I assume that's what that. Well, they're trying to capture the lunch crowd, right? Because I think the ski lift opens earlier.
They're usually done by.
Yeah, I thought it was 4, because the bikes have to be back. If people
Yeah.
rented bikes, they've got to get back.
But there are hikers who.
There are, but if they're tying this to if the reason it's there is primarily to capture the traffic from the
Yeah.
ski lift.
11 to 4.
Well, if it's just golf course.
Do they still have that
Do-
up there?
It's on that, right?
I thought they'd taken parts of that out, but okay.
Trying to find the business hours here.
Spending a lot of time on this.
11 to 4 or
Yeah.
11 to 7.
I don't have any issues with 11 to 7. I can't see that as.
The chairlift runs 10 to 3:30. Or whatever. That's worth. I think 7's fine.
All right, decision's
All right.
been made.
Okay, 11 to 7, no music, no alcohol through August 15th.
Right.
Please apply to the planning board. If you can do it tomorrow, do it. If not, their August meeting.
Is on the 14th, right?
yeah.
And complaints, any complaints? What do we want to do if there are complaints?
Then they will be shut down. No, I don't know.
Well, no,
Well,
that's,
Yeah.
We'll
that's.
tell you if there are complaints.
Right,
and
well,
will
okay,
get
so
a
we
decision.
reserve the right
Reserve the right
to pull this permission at any time.
Okay,
If there are.
Yep.
If they're on the basis of complaints.
Yes, good point.
I think that would
okay,
cover it.
all right. Is that the motion?
Yeah.
Okay, Wendy made the motion.
Do we need, Actually, Rich, you'll be at the planning board meeting.
Tomorrow, yes, bright and early.
Does it make sense for us to notify the planning
I'm-
board that we have
No,
taken
I'm
some temporary
gonna
action
tell
or
Tim,
something?
no, I'll tell Tim we'll let the planning board chair know at 8 o'clock when he gets here tomorrow morning.
Okay,
Yeah.
somebody's
Well,
gotta,
it-
somebody's gotta tell them,
Yep.
What's
because
coming?
I
Yeah.
don't want us to get,
No, no,
No.
well, it also
we're
was,
not trying to
well-
usurp the planning board in this case. We're just
no,
trying
they've
to-
already slapped us around once on that. We also, it's unclear whether they can do it tomorrow because of a requirement for
I gotta
noticing.
look that up
Yeah.
when we get done with
Yeah,
this.
I'm
And I'll
guessing,
text him.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm guessing that they will not be able to bring it up tomorrow.
I'm
Yeah.
guessing so
But
too.
I would
I will
think so,
check.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay, so that's the motion. Is there a
Yes.
vote?
I will.
Second
the
it,
motion.
all in favor?
I,
Aye.
Okay. Very good.
Oh, that took too long. Okay. NHDR.
Like many things here, we spend a lot of time
Mm.
on relatively inconsequential
Okay.
issues. The big ones we
I
kind of,
think we're trying to do our best.
we are indeed. Review and sign the annual NHDRA forms. One saying we're not gonna use this form, sign a form saying we're not gonna use this form,
Another form.
and we're gonna use another form.
And no, this is all you're doing.
We don't have to sign the other
You do
form.
not have to sign anything for the PA 80. It was just filed. You need to be told that every year. You're now
Right.
told that and it's on the record.
Cool.
The
All right.
PA 28, we do not use. I wrote you the information in the memo.
Right,
Yeah, that
today's the
kind of
9th, right?
compressed my
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah,
We have a form, but nobody uses that form, so we're not gonna use that form,
I-
but we're gonna use another form.
but you have to sign a form to tell the DRA that
That you're not gonna
you're
use
not
the
gonna
form.
use a form. All right.
Does it sound, is that all we needed on that?
Yeah,
All right, Dan, for your signature, and then we'll move
Thank
on
you, sir.
to old business.
department, well, yeah, old business, you need to vote on the decisions that we talked about in the non-public session with regards to the wastewater treatment facility. First,
Yes, so let me think how we want to craft that motion to, what was the total amount?
$55,300.
So I'll make a motion to
Thank you.
expend from. That was $55,300 from, which fund are we taking it from?
From the project.
From the project authorized at town meeting for the purposes of working with a communications strategy firm on the wastewater treatment facility.
second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, got that out of the way.
The road
Road
projects, they're working on the Golden Eagle Lodge paving.
They started, did they start this
I
week?
think
as
they
planned?
started
They started.
removing today.
They did?
Yep,
Yeah.
and they will then move out to Packard's road once they finish with the paving in the parking lots. Jennings Peak Road, the base coat is down and the all the structures have been raised. The final overcoat final top coat was supposed to be put in this week, but it'll probably be early next week before that is done. But everything is ready for that work. And that's all with regards to the road project. Noon Peak will be done after Packard's. So
Right, that's the
within
last
the
one,
next
right?
couple, that's the last one for the summer. So probably by the end of this month, maybe first week of August, we should be finished.
Okay. Any questions on road projects? Any other projects of note?
Nothing of note. With regard to the department operations, you have the Public Works Recreation Department reports in your packet. The Rec Department report did include the numbers.
Mhm.
which I sent you via separate email, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So you have those numbers. I noted we're down 20 over the first 3 weeks, 20 camper days from the total, so very close to where we've been historically. Anything to add to that, Brooke?
I looked ahead a little bit and right now we're looking pretty good, just down 1 or 2 campers. Which could change. I mean, we're getting, people trickling in, but
Right. And most times we're in the like 200 to 300 range.
yeah,
Yeah, so that should give people a sense of what
Yeah.
1 or 2 down means.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
right. So,
total of all the camps.
Yeah, we're doing really well. I mean, we did have like a number of record-breaking years kind of right in a row. Post-COVID, we just shot straight up. So I think we're just kind of leveling out right now. But one thing I was requesting in my update was that there's a vote for the $910.
Yep.
Oh, the 10, right, we have to do the
Yes.
usual.
Mhm.
Right.
But otherwise, the camps are really going well.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoying it. We are having some challenges with the paving, which is
Mm.
changing our pickup location. So this year or this week, we altered that. So
I mean, the Packard Road paving.
yeah, the Golden Eagle paving,
Oh, right.
because we do pick up at the field. And so we're changing that to pick up at the rec, which is just a little tight in our parking lot for everybody to come in and come out. But that's been fine. We've done that this whole week and we plan to keep doing that until the job is done. And after they're done with Packard, then they're on to Noon Peak and then we'll have to change our drop off location. So we'll have to go to drop off at Packard Field. Anyhow, we've got some challenges, but everyone's handling it well.
Okay.
Dave,
Anything
anything?
No, anything you'd
for
like to
Dave
note?
From,
from your written report? Anything additional?
No, nothing, we did pick up the UTV before you had a chance to come see it.
I did, I got a ride in it
Ride,
too.
local
It
ride,
was neat.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Please do, if you have,
Come on by and
yeah, if you have a free minute,
they'll,
or anyone on the staff, would be happy to bring you out.
to rattle your insides on one of
And-
the roads here at 50 miles an hour.
Where do we stand with respect to the cameras
Body worn cameras are going into effect on Friday.
on Friday?
We're having Friday morning as the training and everyone's gonna get assigned their body cams. So we have a policy review and a training that morning and we'll be ready to go.
Thank you.
the owners of Tecumseh One have requested parking on the side of Osceola Road during during Friday. They're having tree work done, so we will have sidewalk or roadside parking on Osceola Road.
Right.
Just to
While they're doing the
let
tree
people
work.
know
Right.
why that's happening.
Yeah, there's been a
So-
construction trailer there for
Yep.
some time. I don't know if it's still there or not
But they'll,
on Osceola.
so I just wanted to mention that we're gonna be doing that.
Yeah,
Just one other note.
Yeah. Go ahead.
We were inspired by Dave's new Can-Am's logo and wording, so we're doing a similar thing on the new van. So, we're gonna do that.
good.
All right.
So we
Could I
need a
get a
motion,
vote
right?
on the Doug DeCenzo
Yeah.
camp scholarship?
So the amount was,
$910.
yeah, did you want to do it, Tom?
Started.
No, go ahead.
All right, so I'll make a motion.
I did it last year, so it's your
Oh.
turn. You can do it next year.
Okay, I'll make a motion to donate the $910 raised at the family festival to the Doug DeCenzo Camp Scholarship dunk tank fundraiser.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Steve. Admin, anything? I got one thing here, public notice. We have posted the public notice for August 6th for the public hearing on the renewal of the cable television franchise agreement.
Right, that's our next meeting,
So,
right?
yep. And everything else is dealt with.
Good. I just have one question,
Yeah.
Did you find the answer to your question about the letter? On the abutters of the Britain?
Oh, yes,
Land.
we're all set. Those have been mailed.
Okay.
Or will be mailed.
Yeah, I don't remember,
So
it was a
I
comment
did
that you had
find
made
it.
one day, but I couldn't
No,
remember.
I found
To
my
put in the
note
letter.
and
You
I
got
put
it?
it in. Yes,
Very good.
thank you.
Yeah.
There was one other letter that was requested last time, which was a draft. You wanted a draft at this meeting for the cease and desist
Mhm.
follow-up
Yes,
correspondence. So there. And those were the three items that I had in my notes. Yeah, don't sign that one.
no, I'm not gonna sign it.
Oh,
I
okay, you're
said-
fixing it, okay.
I would, yeah. Last para, first sentence, I would
Okay.
remove.
Okay,
You should start, if you have any
I
questions.
got it,
Yeah,
fine.
Yep.
What did
I
you want
just
to?
did.
First sentence of the last paragraph begins,
Got it.
thank you.
Oh, the
typo
thank you.
cleaned out.
Yeah.
Well, this was a cease and desist letter.
Got it.
Yeah.
I don't think it.
That's
Fine.
fine, either way.
Yeah. Fine.
Doesn't matter.
All right. Nothing else, anything else on department operations
Nothing.
reports?
Anything else?
Good. All right, so what's happening at the coalition communities?
Just the Supreme Court's opinion,
Mhm.
with regard to the Conval deal. Yeah, you guys are good. Yeah, thank you, Brooke.
Yes, thank you.
With regards to, the Conval case, the Supreme Court issued a decision, saying that the legislature should increase the amount, per pupil for SWEP, but did not give them any deadlines and did not give them an amount it should be raised to. So, bottom line, the legislature, the leadership in the legislature, Republican leadership and the governor have both basically said, we do enough. We already spend X amount of dollars per student and we think that the court has erred. So there will be a fight,
Yeah,
in the next session. So,
Right.
between the two parties. But other than that, there are no real ramifications, no changes to our current schedule.
So our budget next year, this coming fall, I should say.
This coming fall will not be
No
affected.
impact.
Yep.
No impact
No
beyond
impact,
the usual.
correct. Yep.
Okay, if there are no questions on that, let's go ahead and move on to the financial updates.
No department issues. On the expense side, revenues. There's nothing. Nothing that we're tracking that's a problem with the revenues. I just do want to point out that when we do the revenues, the taxes and the water and sewer and trash fees are based on the warrants.
mhm,
Okay, that's not cash in the bank.
right,
Okay, so just for accounting purposes, we recognize it as revenue when the warrant is issued.
mm,
So just so everything else is cash, actual cash in the bank. So.
For
But
the-
Steve has been going through as we told you last time, the bond or the tax anticipation note has been paid back.
Mhm.
We've made our annual payments to all of the small organizations. We're making the final one this week. We're doing very well. Collections are up around 85, between 85 and 87%, I think, when we looked at them. Which is pretty good. So,
Couple of large expenses being paid this week.
Yeah.
We have a check going out to Black and Beach.
Yeah.
For their last ask of about $350,000 was their last invoice. And then we're doing our second installment on the debt service. So that's about a $450,000 payment that we'll be making this week.
and on the 300,000, that will be reimbursed by the Clean Water
Right, so the 7
SRF
million.
Yeah.
will submit
When
Right.
they open
that
up the
back.
check.
Yeah,
The payments in lieu of taxes,
yep.
what was that?
That is from the US Forest Service for the 42,000 acres of land in Waterville Valley that belong to the Forest Service.
$900 per.
Yeah.
We get $900.
So they paid a little bit more than we expected?
Yes,
Yeah.
How about that?
yeah.
Any luck so far, Steve, on getting I know we had asked before on the, sorry, I'm just thinking slow, to have not the negatives in the percentage columns when we get above for the revenues, when we're above what's budgeted, when we receive, instead of showing a -3% for this payment in lieu of debt of taxes. You can
Oh,
say the
that
percent remaining to be
Should be
collected.
103.30. Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
and like the current not collect, I don't know, the current not collect. Well, I'm not sure what the best way to show that other column, but at least not having a negative percentage would be reassuring.
You don't like the parents?
I don't like negatives.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
There's quite a few in there that are.
No, I
negative.
know.
Yeah, but they're not
No.
really.
But they are not, no, what she's saying, those numbers are over collected.
Yeah,
That's the amount over collected.
So rather
Yeah.
than percentage remaining to collect, would you like that column to say?
It's because it's a.
Percent
it's a double
collected.
negative.
Percent collected?
collected, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, that's the way you would do it. Otherwise, because it's a double negative, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
You guys obviously are not accountants.
Right.
You're gonna-
Well, if you
you're gonna
need it,
make
you
our
could,
Accountants crazy.
yeah, if you need it, you can just add that other column, right? If you need to have this column, you just add the other column. And that way we don't have to think, we can just look at the number.
Because then yeah, 'cause I don't understand how it impacts the bottom, because like our revenues have obviously grown, but the percentage at the bottom again is lower than it was at the last report.
Got it.
Because the negatives. That's all,
Understood.
Which aren't really negative.
exactly,
And just a quick update on cash flow.
yeah,
Katie and I had a meeting with the representative from the New Hampshire Private Investment Pool, the PDIP, as commonly known, and just talking through like interest rates, where they're at right now, and they are pretty favorable. The PDIP is offering 4.35 right now, whereas Meredith Village was just sub 4, down about 40 basis points. So in an effort to capitalize on that higher interest rate, Katie did move some money over to the PDIP,
okay,
to which I got a response from Meredith Village this morning. A nice courtesy phone call saying that they will come in 20 basis points under whatever the PDIP is offering at any given time throughout the remainder of the year. The advantage with Meredith Village is that they are FDIC insured,
right,
whereas the PDIP is not, but there's no indication that there's any issue there from a collateralization standpoint, but I'm just echoing this because it's important to know that Katie's getting acclimated to her role now, and she's doing a great job for us, so.
great.
All right, anything else on the financials, Bob? Wendy? I mean, Dan, Wendy, sorry. Turning left, seeing Bob, turning right, seeing Wendy for 3 years. Before we do the calendar review, did we just want to go over, or did you want to go over the work plan someplace else? I see it in my packet.
Yeah, with the board concerns and directives.
All right, we'll do it then.
That's when we have
All right, yeah.
historically done it.
Calendar review. What is our calendar? There's nothing here. I
The
forgot.
calendar is for 2 weeks from today, the 23rd.
23rd.
Right now, we don't have anything else.
And we do not have anything else right now. Well, we
That's a
may
shame.
have a special meeting next week to sit down with the communications
Right,
firm.
Right,
So,
Okay.
but that's pending my discussion with
all
them.
right.
Okay,
Okay,
All right.
next
so-
week.
are there any days that do not work for
Let
you
me
next
check
week?
real quick.
Next week? Let's see. Next week is the week of, yay, come on, oh. Week of the 14th, right?
15th is not good. And I may or may not have a car on the 18th.
The afternoon of the
I can
16th
drive it.
is the only not good day for me next week.
Which,
I'm sorry.
Afternoon of the 16th
Okay,
okay,
is not good.
and Dan,
Say.
yours, which one? The
the
15th?
15th is a
15th.
bad day.
Okay.
I'm not here.
All right,
And then but the 14th and the 16th are good. Morning of the 17th is good. The 18th is potentially good. I'm having a car work done, but I don't know whether I will have a car to drive, but I have an e-bike, so I can drive
Yep.
that.
all right.
There you go.
well. 15th and 16th are kind of my only 2 days that I have more flexibility. I could do mornings of
Okay,
Monday, Thursday, or Friday.
I'll lean towards the 15th and see what I can.
Yeah.
Well,
they-
the 15th won't work because I'm out of
Oh,
town.
I'm sorry, you're
Right.
out of town.
So-
Sorry, yes, I got that.
So
I got that.
like 16th, I'm only free in the afternoon, but Rich isn't.
Only
free.
free in the morning.
Yeah,
So
So
17th
the
in the morning.
17th is the 17th.
17th in the morning.
17th
good?
morning would.
Are they
work.
coming here or are they? Zooming?
They're coming here.
So we want to give
want
them,
them to see,
yeah,
Yeah,
so we want, give them a little time to get up here too, right?
yes.
Mhm.
Well, it'll be 9-ish, 10-ish.
Yeah.
Well,
That's fine.
Nine-ish would be good,
yes.
Yeah,
You want it
that's-
to be, or as early as we can.
as possible.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
6:30.
I'll
Yeah,
work
that
on
works.
it.
well, they got a
Got it.
bit of a drive, but they're making money, so
Yeah.
Where are we?
calendar review,
Oh,
That's
wait,
all I,
no, is this for the? half day
communication.
again?
communication.
No, but is this for the half day?
No, well,
is
we
just
may
the
work in the
initial.
half day, but it'll be a meeting with you first.
Yeah, this is just,
Yes.
yeah, I just wanted to make sure, we're okay.
Yes.
All right. And the planning board tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and I think
Yep,
that's about it,
that's
right?
good.
Board concerns and directives. Wendy, anything happening at town core or solid waste?
The town core has not met. The MSW did meet on Tuesday. We're mostly just trying to. Oh, I think we found a home for your green cone.
Oh, yes,
Um,
thank you for, I keep on forgetting to say, I haven't.
Leah will use that in the community gardens.
No, okay, if someone wants to
So-
come by and pick it up,
That's, yeah, I had sent you an email, right, Mark?
Mhm.
Okay.
yeah, it's just sitting outside my
The-
front door.
The green cone is an
Okay.
in-ground composter where you,
It's a,
it's like
what do they call it? A digester,
a digester.
a
thank you.
digester, yeah.
Where, and we had gotten free as like test subject places and Richard tried one. And the idea is the basket is like a laundry basket type thing that gets buried and an insulated cone with a lid, so you just chuck food in and it digests and goes into the soil.
Supposed
Well,
to be bare,
Rich's bear decided to use it as a Kong toy. so
yeah,
It didn't work,
wasn't bear proof.
so, anyway.
I don't
It
know.
was not.
So we're thinking maybe more valley floor locations are better for these, but it's an attempt to reduce food waste. And the
Okay.
expense.
We're
therein.
trying these out to see if they would work here, and if they do, maybe we can help people
Yeah, we compost. them.
Concept-
compost.
Yeah,
Yeah,
concept
with
is
these,
awesome.
and these are actually better than composters.
well, they're easier.
They're easier, but you
Yeah.
can put things in them that you can't put in
You can put anything, chicken bones and.
bones and stuff like that, so
anything
they're,
in. Yeah,
it sounded like a really good idea, but
yeah.
not
Yeah.
really.
Just gotta watch the locations.
Yeah, a little
Um,
bit, a little bit.
And we're just, we're getting closer to really honing a way to plan ahead for what the group would like to see for the future of MSW and Waterville Valley, and
Yeah,
to be able to create some sort of a timeline and goals, and so we're still just working towards that end.
yeah. Presumably there'll be more refuse to pick up at this adventure center. If it's approved, right? They can have a restaurant or a snack bar there.
Presumably.
I don't know how they're gonna get,
We'll see.
that'll be a planning board thing. I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
It will be.
more
So yeah, that was it.
dumpsters, yeah. That's it.
That's it.
I think I already gave you guys the updates on the planning board. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock is the next regular meeting of the planning board. As far as ex officio report is concerned. Board concerns and directives, anybody?
Yeah,
Yep,
we
Dan?
had one other topic we were working with respect to like an additional charge. $5 or $10.
Right, $10.
You're
for
gonna
the
have the
quarterly.
public hearing at the next meeting,
That's at the next.
It was $10,
23rd.
yeah.
Yeah,
$10
Per
we-
quarter.
per quarter.
Yeah, okay.
That's it, that's on the schedule.
That's on the schedule at
As
the
a,
next
as a, as a
meeting.
public hearing. at the
Okay.
Next meeting, yeah.
Okay. And do we have all the notice out for that? That had to be out ahead of time.
Yes,
right?
they're all, yep, everything's good. The
Um,
paving at the Golden Eagle I noticed a note I have here to myself. They're requesting to start early. At 7.
Oh.
For the Golden Eagle.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's their
Are
owners that
you
are gonna
okay?
be mostly impacted by it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I mean, I like to get these in and out as quickly as possible.
okay,
There've been folks starting activities early and actually doing things even on the weekends
Mm-hmm,
throughout the valley.
mm-hmm.
It's getting to be an unfortunate precedent that people are actually starting before 8 o'clock. So,
where have they been other than other than
Well,
the town ones?
where the new house was built down below my place, they have, what do you call it? Landscaping people
Yeah.
in there
that-
with,
that's-
bulldozers and stuff
Yeah.
like that in there,
Okay,
dumping rocks and,
okay,
Yeah, that's a no-no.
Yeah, that's the type of thing, right? You
they
call
were
it.
doing that on,
you
they were
gotta-
doing that on Sunday.
Yeah, someone needs
you
to
know.
call that in.
Yeah.
if you could text me or call, I will reach out to code enforcement. Because they're here but between 7 and 7:15 in the morning, so
Yeah,
if you let me know when it's happening, they can go stop it.
yeah,
It's difficult after the fact,
yeah.
so we
They-
need to. I will
Somebody
have
was
them,
Also up on Beanbender Road. Well, I'm not sure what they were actually doing this morning, but it was like 7:30 or something.
Okay.
I think they were loading some sort of a lift that had been rented or something, so it's
okay,
pretty noisy because you got a semi on your road.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have to keep at them all in
Uh,
the summer. It's always an issue.
Yeah, I just mentioned that, so. I've had comments throughout town of people saying, people are starting early.
Well, they-
rah, rah, rah.
Tell 'em to call
You
in.
hear them.
they got a call.
Well, that's
They
what
gotta
I
call
say,
in.
Yeah.
that's what I say.
Yep.
Just contact town office.
So,
Yeah.
so can I get a vote on the 7 AM for the Golden Eagle or?
Yeah.
What are your restrictions, desires to do that?
Well, on all these major paving projects, we've tried to get them in and out as quickly as possible. And the
Because
town has an
rain.
interest in this one, especially town, right? We're
Well, this
paying
will
for-
start with the Golden Eagle parking lots, but yes, then it goes to Packard's
Right.
Road and then.
But I mean, we're paying for part of the parking lot.
We
too.
are paying for part of the parking lot.
So
as well.
Packard Road, I think getting
Mhm.
these folks in and out as quickly as possible is still the better way to do it because there are always delays. They never finish on schedule, these paving projects. I
So,
shouldn't say never, I should say almost always they don't.
I will make a comment, though. These
Mhm.
people are starting early, but they're also leaving early. So on Jennings Peak Road, they were starting early. And then they were leaving early.
Yeah, probably
So rather
another
than-
job.
So rather than working late,
Hmm.
working to 5 o'clock, they're leaving at 4.
Yeah.
And they can work 8 to 5, which would be a normal day. If we're going to allow people an extended time and the ability to start early, then they really need to be making use of the full time available to them to do these projects. Okay.
So the caveat would be if we let them start earlier, then it needs to be extra time for the actual project to be worked on. Is what I'm
Yes.
saying, yeah.
Yes,
The,
that's the primary complaint I hear from people around town. And that is, they start early, but then they leave
Leave
early.
early.
They're
the
going.
issue, but the issue there has been, and this has come up before. The issue there has been that they're leaving early because they're going to another job, and in order to get them here when we need them here, because we're such a small town, we're kind of locked into getting that time period that they can give us. Otherwise, either we don't get the bid or it extends for even a longer period. They're gonna leave early anyway, or they're not gonna come. That's always
Well-
been the dilemma we faced.
These are the larger multi-day jobs.
Yeah,
Okay. So
but they're segmented by
I-
subcontractors. That's the other bit.
I am loath to approve these things unless people are working full days, to be
All right.
honest with you.
I guess what
Okay.
I'm saying is I
so
understand
that's
why.
where-
Okay,
That's where I stand on this matter, because if you're gonna start early, it's because you wanna get, if you will, more done.
Mhm.
So I would fully expect them to work at least till 5 o'clock each day.
Okay,
And
yeah,
I think that's a fair
okay.
request.
All right, I would disagree with that. I think we need to be much more flexible. For the
Well-
reasons I've stated, but,
Right.
so,
But
Wendy?
the sense from the townsfolk is that I'm sorry to interrupt.
no,
The sense from the townsfolk is that, as I've heard it, is that, well, they can finish one day earlier if they work a little bit later
right,
and get things done.
Right.
but they're not understanding how the process works, but in any event,
I understand that being the perception, but I think I would agree with Rich that we are always the smallest job for most of these bigger companies, and to have that flexibility if they need to leave earlier to work on another project.
They're
Or
not
it's a
working on another
subcontractor,
project
or it's a
after
oh,
4
no.
o'clock.
no, or it's a subcontractor.
Or, yeah,
I think that may be the case sometimes, Dan, but there's a subcontractor issue in any event.
we can make the request and tell them they're approved for the early start, but we want them to work later in the day. And, or we can ask them, well, whatever you guys want me to ask them, I can ask them to do.
I would request that. I think their request is based on their need to try and get things done and so forth. So if they want to get it done, stay a little bit later. and
Well,
get
but the
stuff done on
industry,
the end of
yes,
that, right?
the industry standard, they would start at 5 AM and leave at 3 if they could. That's the way those crews work. And if you go out onto I-93 or something, wherever these guys are working, that's what you're gonna see. But they are clear of the site early in the afternoon. I understand what you're asking, and I can ask them to do that. Their request was to start earlier. So I will let them know what the concern is. That we don't think they're getting any extra time. They're just shifting their day earlier. And that's against our ordinance. And so I can do both. I can let them start early and
Mhm.
still point out the concern of the community.
Okay.
And let's see what they
Fine.
say.
Yeah.
If that's okay. I'm with, I'm with Rich and Wendy because if we put in the past, if we have put restrictions on people, we tend to get slid till November.
Correct,
And
and I understand
that's
that,
not-
I'm not insensitive to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
We get
one of the big
penalized.
complaints around
Right.
town is that
But what
they're
they're
not
saying,
making use of their available time.
but what they're setting themselves out for longer duration projects instead of shorter
Yeah.
projects. I
Right.
think if we're not careful,
Right.
that's the concern in the long run.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like a good.
Okay,
a good
so we'll
approach.
start them
Yeah.
at 7.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else, board concerns and
You've got the
And
work plan. I just
the work
updated it.
plan, right?
So,
Yep.
if
Anything notable you'd like to
you-
note?
Did you see anything that you need to ask about?
No questions somewhere.
Nope. I had
Where
nothing.
do we stand with respect to the, like, all the engineering stuff going on Boulder Path Road?
On Boulder Path Road,
Yeah, just
they
that's
are
ongoing
working.
in here.
Yeah, it's
I haven't seen
ongoing.
anybody working.
No,
Is-
they're not. They're doing the plans at their offices. You might see off and on 1 or 2
Okay.
people out there, but they're
Right.
working on the plans. So,
Actually, you jogged my memory on something, Dan. Thank you. Have we heard back from the engineers, the Boulder Path
not yet,
engineers on
not on
any
the
of the
changes.
changes?
No,
Haven't
not
heard?
yet.
Okay.
I have not. No. Anything else on this? So Birdie, Britton came in, she requested a parking spot, right by, the entrance to what David referred to as the dog park area.
Mhm.
They take their dog down to that area. And she would like, to have a spot where she can park, in order to do that. I talked to Megan about putting some crushed gravel, stone dust in kind of like our on-street parking
Mhm.
zone. Create a little spot there that could hold 2 to 3 cars. I have not talked to Dave about it yet. But if you are okay with it and he does not have any problem with that, I'd like to make that kind of more formal parking for 2 or 3 cars. Not a big extensive parking area.
No,
by
I
any
think that was
means.
always one of the things we were
And I'd
going
like
to
to-
consider after we
Yeah,
finished with
And
DES.
I'd like to, as part of our signage package, I'd like to get a little sign that says reserved
Reserved
for
for.
David. and
Yeah,
Bert.
this is so you go down a bit and you make that left into that cleared area. Is that where she wants to put the
Yeah,
parking?
right as you
Or
turn
right up-
into the area.
right on the
By
left.
the bridge,
Right,
right there. to the
right
left.
there in the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, people park there anyway.
Yes,
I see,
Yeah.
Tony was in there the other day. She was fishing, I think
Yeah.
it was last
Hmm.
weekend.
Yeah.
So that's where actually
yeah.
fly fishers
Yeah.
are stopping and parking. There's cars there, I think every weekend. There's at
I
least one
think
car in there.
Dave and Patrick will be okay with it. We'll get them
Right.
off the road.
Yeah, you can get 3 cars in there. It just
Yeah.
needs to be cleaned up a
Just
little. You may
cleaned
even be
up.
able to get
Maybe 4.
maybe 4 to
Yeah.
clean it up and,
If
I
it's all
support
right,
that.
if
Oh,
you don't have any
absolutely.
problems.
Yeah.
Okay,
good.
Good.
That's great.
all right, good.
let's see, what are the ones here?
Anything else on the, you had something, Dan, on the, work
Yeah,
plan?
the dumpster enclosures,
still?
people were
We-
supposed to be giving us plans.
Some of them have, I will have, as part of the 23rd, I'll have a list for you on any that we are waiting for on the plans. There are some that requested extensions to get them to
Okay.
us later this month.
Yeah, if we could
So-
just get some sort of
Yep.
a status.
I will,
Do that at the next meeting?
Yeah.
See where we are.
Yeah,
That's fine.
okay. Oh,
Anything else?
no, no,
Or
no.
concerns? Any correspondence?
I received a letter that I
okay,
didn't realize was in my mailbox, but it was
Okay.
up there. from an individual, a young man, I believe.
Yeah,
And he's asking a lot of questions and about like me, our town,
Yeah, I got a
how
similar
did I
letter.
become a
Yeah,
select board member?
Yep.
Is this similar?
yep, let's see if I recognize
Should I
them.
check my mailbox? I guess?
Probably should. I don't know if the same person did it. My name is Logan, I am 20 years old, yeah, the same person.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like something a 20-year-old would write,
Um,
but I wonder if it's
I-
special needs.
mhm. Well,
It
yeah,
is.
but yes.
It is?
I'll-
I believe so. If
Okay.
you look in these
Yeah. I'll,
right
Right.
here.
Right.
Okay.
Yep,
So the question is, should I respond
if,
to him with a polite message back, letter back to him?
we
He's
can, I got one as
clearly-
well, we could.
He's clearly looking for some feedback from individuals.
mhm,
Mhm. You may have one in
Yeah.
your
Yeah. I better
your
go.
box.
It's a very polite letter, no controversy or anything about this in my mind.
Yeah, no, it
It's
was
just-
very,
it's
it was
just-
very, easy to answer.
Yeah, I don't think,
It was very just looking for information.
right, I don't think there are a lot of, motives or anything like.
I didn't
that.
recognize the name.
No.
I don't know if someone,
No, and he says
Someone-
he's from New Jersey,
yeah,
so,
but I don't know if it was a,
we get them from time to time.
yeah,
That's,
so
take
if
care
it's
of 'em.
appropriate,
Yeah,
and
sure.
it felt that's appropriate, if
Yeah,
I
no,
can make
absolutely.
the time, I will
just answer.
just draft
the
up a
young man.
nice
Yeah.
message
Okay.
to the young man.
yep,
I will do so.
very good.
Any other correspondence from anybody?
No,
No? Okay. Do we need to go into non-public or do we finish
You're
everything
done.
up front?
you're done. Everything
In
else
so many ways.
is.
We had, it says RSA 91-8:3.
Well, that's what you did at the beginning of the meeting.
That's
That's
the,
what you did since.
that's the
noontime.
freedom.
That
that's
was-
the freedom, that's the
That's the
right to know,
law.
right to know law.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, for the non-public session.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Never mind.
All right. So
And-
no need for
I'm a little
non-public.
tired after sitting here.
Well,
I
it's
thought
been-
we were gonna
we're-
talk about
You
this.
did
already.
good.
We're coming up
4
on
hours and
5 hours.
5 hours.
When I
You
say
did
we've
good.
been here for almost 5 hours. Alrighty, if there's nothing else for the board, I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So
Right.
A second,
Second?
all in favor?